You cannot be nonchalant about something that you don't have, but you want. Okay. Hello, angels, baddies, and bitches. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber Akilla. We're in the business of being hot and having fun, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. Thank you to anyone that's subscribed to the channel. You can follow me on all the things if you haven't already. Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud for music and mixes. Subscribe to the Patreon at Amber Akilla. There's exclusive content. There's a group chat. I share thoughts and feelings, things I've been reading and watching. Thank you for sending me messages about any videos that have resonated with you, and if you've taken notes on anything and shared with your therapist. This is an ongoing thought experiment, and it's not about being more like me, it's about becoming more you. And what sort of psychological knots can we untie in the process of working towards our next sleigh? That's like my whole thing that I'm interested in at the moment. So today's topic is being nonchalant is overrated. And you cannot afford to be nonchalant if you want to really live a fully embodied and authentic life. And I'm going to try and illustrate some different perspectives around the connection between nonchalant, being chalant, comparing yourself to other people, and the effort required to live a full life, okay? Nonchalant is defined as feeling or appearing casually calm and relaxed, not displaying anxiety, interest, or enthusiasm. And here, I'm not really interested in the dictionary definition. I'm interested in the connotations that we project onto certain words or ideas and dynamics, and how that can get in the way of us taking action, or microdosing risk, or taking a leap of faith, right? And basically, in a nutshell, you cannot be nonchalant about something that you don't have, but you want, okay? So if someone says to me oh, you've done so much and this and that, and they're complimenting me on what I've already achieved, I can appear nonchalant because I've already done the work, okay? I've already overcome the anxiety around what it takes to achieve a certain thing. So I am casually calm about it. My chalant energy is now being directed towards whatever I'm working on next. If I've already done the thing, of course I can appear nonchalant about it. But in the pursuit of it, I probably was very chalant, okay? I was probably taking it very seriously. I probably put my whole bussy behind it to get that shit done, okay? So you can't afford to be nonchalant about something that you want, but you don't yet have. And the opposite of nonchalant, chalant, obviously chalant is not a word, but I'm just going to be using it in this context. Or taking something seriously, or actually trying, having enthusiasm about something. I don't want to say it's about the presence of anxiety, but obviously when we care about something, we might feel anxious. And I always say that having anxiety around something that you want to achieve is an illustration of the fact that you care about it, okay? You don't have to think that it's a bad thing to feel nervous about something, because it means that you care about it. I've been DJing for probably 12 years or something now, and I still get nervous before I DJ, whether I'm DJing to a small room or a large room, recorded, not recorded, background music, peak hour, opening set. I still get nervous before I DJ, and I welcome that feeling because it means that I care. If at any point I'm just don't care about it and I feel indifferent, then I feel like I need to be doing something else with my time, okay? Or that something's wrong with my relationship with music and my job if I'm starting to feel indifferent towards it more often than not, right? It's important to care about what you do and to be intentional about it if you want or are searching for this feeling of I did it, this feeling of satisfaction, this feeling of achievement, this feeling of success. That is not something that you can buy, and that is something that requires you to care about what you do. It requires being chalant, okay? And being chalant about something and caring about it doesn't mean that you're a tryhard, okay? It doesn't mean that you're acting desperate. It doesn't even require you to say anything to other people. It's about your mindset and your intention around what you do. And for me, at the time of recording, I asked myself, okay, if the year ended tomorrow, would I be happy with what I've achieved? Would I be happy with the amount of output and how hard I feel that I've worked this year? And my answer was no. And I was okay, it's time to get chalant. I'm just gonna have to lock in and basically work to exhaustion, not to burnout, but work to a point where I'm I've done everything that I possibly can to make the most of my time and energy. And earlier this year, I did grant myself the space to just not feel like I had to be out there all the time, because that's what I was doing for the last like 2.5 years. When I first came back to Shanghai after the pandemic, I was outside all the time. I was very chalant about everything, okay? Just because someone makes it look easy doesn't mean that they're not like fighting demons and like trying to untangle cringe and trying to, take risks. Don't compare someone's like end product to your first step, like don't compare your consumption of something and how you feel to how they might feel in the process of actually getting that thing done, and you don't know. You'll never live their life. So focus on managing how you feel and your intention and your time, enjoy the fruits of everybody's labor, but don't feel like, there's something wrong with you because you're experiencing difficulty in the process of doing something that you care about. You are going to experience difficulty doing anything at any stage in life, because that's just life. Okay, if there is no resistance, there's no growth. If there is no pain, if there is no discomfort, that means you're just going around in circles. Okay, so you need to learn to welcome and familiarize yourself with the feeling of discomfort that comes with pursuing something that you care about, the feeling of disappointment that comes when you maybe don't hit the mark the way that you anticipated, because then you can redirect your attention to just focusing on enjoying the process of creating. Like I'm doing this 30-day no hating challenge and trying to do a short video like at least every day, if not have a long video that ensures that I'm being consistent. And I'm not guaranteed views in the process of doing this 30-day no hating thing. Okay, that's like low views on my channel, but I still enjoy the process of doing it, and the few comments that I do get and the feedback that I do get means a lot to me, because I'm taking it seriously. Like even though I'm presenting it in this fun and sarcastic way, the value that I'm getting out of this process is not something that I could buy. I feel like mentally, emotionally, I've realized so many things. I've had to confront a lot of parts of myself that maybe were like holding me back in ways that I wasn't ready to face. So I've accelerated this process, and I'm excited to continue and grateful that I took that risk. Before I did it, I was like, well, if I do this, I'm going to have like short videos more often, and maybe they're not going to be like that well thought out. It's going to be very like put together, last minute, whatever. But I just want to push myself to see what working with full force really is for me, because I don't feel like I did that this year. And for me to end the year not feeling like I did everything that I could to make the most of my time and energy just feels like a waste. I'm the only person that has to deal with the consequences of that. I have to take responsibility for the fact that maybe I didn't work as hard as I could have. And that's the same when you try to act nonchalant about something that you want but you don't have. You can act as cool as you think you need to act for other people to think you're cool, but the time will pass anyway, and you still won't have the thing that you want, and you'll still have to go back and start from square one. Like there's nobody that can fast track that for you. So whether people think I look cool or not in this process, I actually don't care, because I feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in this process. I'm learning and I'm having a good time, which are two of my like core values. So if someone else sees it and they don't learn anything and they don't enjoy it, I literally don't care, because at least I do. I'm the person that has to take responsibility for all of this, And if I don't like it, or if I change my mind or whatever, I can also give myself the option to do that too. But as long as I'm committing myself, then I have full ownership over what I've produced, and then I can be nonchalant about it, because then people will be like, oh, well, you've gotten so many followers and this and that. And it's like, yeah, because I work my ass off. And I work in the creative industry as well. So I have a lot of conversations with people about what they want to achieve and what they want to do, or how they want to be recognized. Everybody talks about how they want their life to look to other people, or how they want their career to look to other people. And they don't think about how they want to feel in the process of making that happen, or how they want to overcome the barriers around how it's going to feel to achieve those things. Because I always say, you're going to face challenges no matter what. Whether you're doing something you ultimately enjoy that satisfies you, or you're doing something that you don't enjoy for somebody else's benefit, or to make other people feel good when they see what you're doing, even if you didn't enjoy it, it's going to be hard no matter what. So you may as well get really granular about what it is that you want and what you're willing to endure in the pursuit of it, because you're going to have to endure regardless. So at least if it's in the direction that you would prefer, at least if it's you're feeling a sense of satisfaction at each stage, rather than holding out for some external person or external group or whatever, external number, external dollar amount to retroactively give you permission to feel good about something, even though you hated the whole process. that day never comes, okay? And then you'll still have to figure out what you really want. And then you'll still have to go through the process of microdosing risk, or you're just going to be stuck in this never ending loop of thinking that you need to be cooler than everybody else, or you need to look a certain way in order to pursue what you want. And I think that ultimately, like, you can't compare yourself to other people, because you working at your full capacity and someone else working at their full capacity is going to look completely different. And you will never know how it feels for that person, and they'll never know how it feels for you either. The only thing that matters is that you feel good and that you're making a positive contribution to the world around you. You know, you feel like you can show up as your best self as a result of living and working with full intention, right? So a visual example would be, this is A, this is B, okay? So when A looks at B, they might say like, oh, they have so much success. It looks so easy for them. They have all these resources. They have support. B is maybe on like chapter 5 of their journey, okay? But A looks at it like it's chapter 1. In A's mind, they just discovered B, and they're like, oh, how come they're like so young? They're at the beginning of their career and everything is like so easy for them. Well, you don't actually know that, okay? Like, what B is doing, they could be, or they might not be working at their full capacity, okay? And that requires you to live with intention and literally like push yourself, okay? You only have so many hours in the day. You only have so much energy. Are you using it in the pursuit of creating the life that you want, or are you just passively consuming, you know? And it can be a healthy combination of these two things. I have a pretty decent amount of output right now, and I also have a decent amount of time to doom scroll and just like think about nothing and bake cookies and make lunch, you know? It can't be like you're on all the time, but when you are on, are you really on? So A looks at B and thinks, well, everything is so easy for them. Why is it not easy for me? Why do I not have these outcomes when I work or have an intention that looks like what B is doing? You don't know what B is doing. Rather than thinking, oh, I need to feel like this is really easy and that I don't really care that much about the outcome in order for me to be successful and then for people to think I'm cool, think about, how hard do I need to work? What skills do I need to acquire? How much time do I need to dedicate? How much discipline do I need in order to get this done? So that the final product looks like it was nothing. You want people to look at you the way that you look at B, but that doesn't mean that you're going to feel the way that you think B felt while they were doing it, okay? How you feel in the process isn't really anyone's business but yours. And even if they do or they don't, it literally makes no difference to them. They can only consume final product. They can't be there and feel the process with you, okay? So you need to familiarize yourself with how that feels and what it takes. And maybe you realize that, okay, it's going to require more of me than I'm used to, but do I feel this sense of satisfaction and achievement at each stage, regardless of what the outcome is? That's the most important thing, because on a vibes level, like when you're doing that, our emotional spiral, when you feel a sense of enthusiasm, okay, that's up here. When you feel abundance, when you feel knowledge, when you feel service, when you feel radiant, when you feel patient, when you feel self-love, security, happiness, belief, acceptance, powerful, joy, passion, empathy, forgiveness, when you feel these things, you are going to attract at that level, okay? When you're trying to be bored, jealous, frustrated, judgment, self-pity, anger, doubt, depression, that's what you're going to attract, okay? You need to learn to understand that this is an integration of spiritual and material. You can't reverse engineer something material just by making assumptions about how it feels, okay? You need to figure out how you feel, learn to discern between your emotions, identify your emotions, push yourself, like imagine like light coming out of your body, okay? Have you ever done like a guided meditation where it tells you to visualize light at your head, developing awareness around your body? It needs to feel like that. You need to understand how the energy is coming out of you and how it's being applied mentally, materially, emotionally, physically, okay? So don't just look at what other people are doing and think you are entitled to feel a certain way, and don't assume that because you're looking at it and you feel nice, that it's going to feel nice in the process of making it, okay? Like I've worked on photo shoots as a model, as a producer, and when you're on set, it's like a war zone, okay? But then the final image is like you serving cunt. Even just like taking pictures as an influencer, you've got like hundreds or thousands of pictures that you take before you select the final, okay? So the process is never as glamorous as the outcome. If anything, the more glamorous the final product looks, the more arduous and hellish the process to get it done. Okay, like even for me to be able to create this sort of content, I have to confront like the darkest parts of my psyche in order to integrate them into my understanding of myself and the world, and then apply it to the things that I read, the things I observe, the things that I experience, and then communicate it. So it's not like it's so easy for me to just do this, but because I enjoy this process, learning is a core value of mine, being able to be of service is a core value of mine. I enjoy this. And when people affirm and validate me for the work that I do, that's not something that I can easily replicate if I'm doing something that I don't enjoy. You know, like people can tell. Sometimes you need to like really apply yourself to something to realize that you don't really want to do it that badly. You don't want to put the work in, and your time and energy is better spent elsewhere. And I think a lot of people get stuck in this trap of always thinking like the grass is greener on the other side, and it's so easy for all these other people, and why isn't it easy for me? And they feel entitled to a level of success that they're simply not working towards because they are not being chalant about it. It's not about this objective level of chalance. It's about, are you being chalant about it or not? Okay, because the universe and the world around you will orient according to the intention that you apply to what you do. Because I take my shit seriously, people take me seriously. Okay, when there's people that aren't taking me seriously, it's very easy for me to walk away from that, because I'm like, you know, I could entertain this because I know how to manage it, but at the same time, like, I have a history now of working with people where it's not about, okay, being chalant means you start acting desperate and you start asking everybody for help and you start trying to get other people to assist you. It's just being honest with yourself. Am I working to my full capacity, yes or no? And how far can I push myself so that I know what the edges of potential burnout are like, and then I can manage a healthy balance between those two things. You know, you don't have to be on 1000%, 100% of the time, okay? Some days you're going to feel 100%, 200%, 300%, but you're not going to grow if you're just a little below 100 all the time. You know, you're actually just going around in circles. So don't think that like you have this sort of limit to who you are. It's going to feel like a limit when you're doing something that you don't enjoy. When you're working towards something and you feel too caught up in how things look and other people approving of you, you either have to change the thing that you're doing to something that you genuinely enjoy, or you have to change your mindset towards it and learn to enjoy the process. Learn to do it because you care about it. Have a real purpose behind what you do, and not just, I just want people to like think that I'm cool. That's not a real reason to do anything, because what does that even mean? To me, the coolest thing that you could do is to be yourself and to live your life fully, okay? And anybody that's doing that does not respect people that are out here thinking about how they can be nonchalant. You know, like that's not a thing anymore. And you're going to be out-chalanted by someone. That's the thing. If you're not living to your full capacity, there are lots of people that are willing to do that, and they're going to make strides ahead of you. You're just going to be left behind. And it's not even because it's a competition between you and them. It's because you haven't embraced the competition between you and your former self. That is the real challenge. You know, I don't believe that I'm in competition with anybody else. I'm always just thinking, okay, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I develop from who I was yesterday, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And you can also apply this in reverse. You can say to yourself, okay, how am I feeling today? How do I feel about the work that I've done, or the friendships that I have, etc., etc.? If I'm doing this exact same thing in 2 years, will I be okay with that? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. And when the answer is no, you have to ask yourself, okay, what can I change about what I'm doing now that's going to allow for different outcomes in 2 years' time? But literally at every stage of my life, I've had to ask myself this question, because no one's giving me permission to do what I do, okay? If you go back to when I started doing any of the things that I do now, it was like not cool, not common, didn't make any sense. The vision that I had, the life that I wanted. And, you know, in some ways, I realized recently that I was thinking a lot in terms of the future. Like, okay, in 2 years' time, what do I want to be doing? Is it similar to what I'm doing now? Is it different? Is it an iteration of it? Is it, you know, an evolution of it? What can I do differently to put myself in that position? Even though it looks easy to some people, it's not easy, okay? You have to say no to so many things in order to maintain discipline and to delay gratification. But that is not something that you can buy. That feeling of like, I applied myself and I did the best that I could. And even though it wasn't exactly the way that I anticipated, it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, or I faced all these like unpredictable challenges, I learned something. I'm a different person. I'm a better version of myself. I'm a wiser version of myself for it. That's not something you can buy. You want to buy wisdom? Impossible. You want to buy discipline? You can't. Don't make it seem like you can, but that's not how it works. Don't feel like being nonchalant or being chalant is about how other people see you. It's about how you see yourself. Okay, when you feel like you're entitled to a level of success or to access to something that you don't have, and you don't want to try or don't want to put in effort to get it, you've already lost, in my opinion. Okay, and I have conversations with people where they're like, oh no, I don't want to look like a tryhard, or like, that's not cool, that's cringe. I'm like, the only person that loses from that attitude is you. Okay, you think that it's like negging, you know, like you're trying to diminish other people's efforts to make your lack of effort seem reasonable. But in reality, you have no idea how much effort they did or didn't put in, or how easy or difficult it was for them to achieve that. The only thing that matters is how you feel, what you're willing to do, and whether you learn anything or grow, you know. Otherwise, like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to be like this radical life overhaul. It can be like, hey, I am on a 30-day no hating challenge, and each day I'm noticing that sometimes I get into negative thought spirals, and it's kind of cringe to say that I'm doing this, but at least I've learned something. Hello, if you didn't do it, what would you know? Would you know anything different, or would it just be the same? And you would end up having to notice that you go into these negative thought spirals and think you need to look cooler than everybody when, like, literally nobody's thinking about you that much, okay? The longest relationship you have is with yourself. And if you're not satisfied with what you've achieved in this life, nobody is going to be able to grant you that. So think about that. Don't feel like you need to be desperate and crazy and like asking other people for assistance. That's not what being chalant is about, okay? It's about how can you integrate, develop an awareness, apply intention to the way that you live. It can be a conversation between you and you, like, okay, I'm going to work my ass off between now and whatever your deadline is. Then I can stop and review, see what I've learned, adjust, and start again, you know, or like adjust and make my next attempt. That's literally what life is. It's just a series of different side quests and challenges. There's no destination. The only deadline is when you die, so you may as well make the most of it while you're here, you know, see what you can do. Take the intention that you apply seriously, but don't take the outcome that seriously. Don't take the way that it's perceived that seriously, because you're always going to be given an opportunity to readjust. Focus on being home and having fun, you know what I mean? This is kind of a bit all over the place, but a quick video just to share with you my thoughts. You can't be nonchalant about something that you want but you don't have. If you don't really care about it and you don't want it, that's easy, okay? But this tension that people have inside of themselves between like feeling entitled to a level of success or access to something that they haven't really given their all for, you're never going to get what you want, you know? And when you do give it your all, and even if you don't get the thing that you want, you're still grateful for that process, you know? You're still willing to adjust. You realize, oh, actually there's more that I could give, or actually there's a different way that I can approach this. You never even think about being entitled to the outcome anymore because you're so locked in on the process. And if you've never done that before, you don't know what that feels like, okay? Me describing that to you is just going to feel foreign and sound insane. And I feel sorry for people that have lived their life in a way where they haven't had to really commit themselves to something, where it's come easily to them and they've worked off momentum, and the momentum's gone because what goes up must come down, and now you've got to build your resistance to cringe from scratch. That's crazy, but it's possible. I've got other videos about it: microdosing risk, getting over cringe, the price of having a personality, or the price of slaying his haters, etc. It's not impossible. I believe in you. Stay hot and having fun. Follow me on all the things. Let me know what you thought of this video. Good luck being chalant in the pursuit of being hot and having fun, in living your best life, in going from flop to slay. And I will speak to you soon. Love ya.